Hello, welcome again to another video. Once again I'm here slaving away so that you don't have to. This is the B1 piece from the Grade 4 syllabus, B1 Waltz by the composer Grieg. This is hands down the hardest piece, I think, in the whole Grade 4 syllabus, the ones that are in the book anyway. I think it's very, very tricky, much harder than the previous A-list pieces to play. It's difficult for a variety of reasons. You've got to get very good at this left-hand stride technique, that kind of movement. We'll talk about that in a minute anyway. I'm going to play it for you first so you can have a listen to it, and then we'll break it down and work out how to go about learning it, and we'll watch out for any dangers that you might encounter when you're playing this. We have got a page turn to deal with as well. Now I've got a novel way of dealing with that. I'm going to turn the page. As soon as I get to the bottom of page 2, I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to show you a little trick in a minute, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay, here we go. So this is the tempo. Okay, here we go. So that last note at the end, written staccato but played with a pedal mark, is a curious thing, isn't it, there? As we get to that last bit, I put the pedal down and it's sort of sustained anyway, so if you held the note or came off, it wouldn't make much difference if you're pedaling it. We'll talk about the later part of the piece in a few minutes. As we go to the beginning then, we're dealing with this left hand, which is quite a stretchy part, really. I mean, I can use my 2 on the E because I've got massive hands, but I can also play the 3, as it's suggested, which requires a bit of lifting off the A. You really have to develop a very loose technique here. You have to practice very slowly to develop a kind of sense of control over it. If you play with a stiffness and you get tension going on, it's going to be prone to making mistakes. So we're getting a good quality opening idea there, pedaling the first 2 beats. You can come off on beat 2 really. We're just getting that connection from the A to the first chord. And just go round in a loop, just practice it over and over. The next bit, at bar 4, is even harder. I actually like using a 5 on the E. The 4 can also work, of course, that's what's written. I think the thinking behind using the 4 is that your little finger is just one note nearer to go back to A again in bar 5. But either way, you want to be practicing that quite a lot. First sort of 10 bars are based on that kind of movement. The right hand has the tenuto note at the beginning, which is not to be played staccato. So we have that. You could almost think of the tenuto note as a slightly emphasised note. Ba, 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 ba. That sort of effect. And the same idea here. Well, actually, the next bit, bar 7, is staccato, but there's slur at the end. And then, again, the slur, and then. So let's play it slow. The next part is quite straightforward. Keep in mind that this is still soft, so it doesn't have to be played too loud, but we do have the accent coming in bar 12. So I'm putting a bit of emphasis on the start of bar 12. And these ones, not too loud. There we go, that's a bit of an accent there, and then building up. Remember, bar 17 has the writ written above it, so we're slowing. And pausing. So this opening section up to bar 18 would be a very good thing to keep working on until it settles down. Don't be in a hurry to go through the whole piece. Get the quality going over quantity. So now, if we pick up from bar 19, where it says a tempo, we're back to the tempo now, having paused on the previous bar. We've got exactly the same idea as what we played at the beginning. Building up. Maybe be careful on bar 33. I tended to go, be careful not to come off too soon. It's very easy to come off a little bit too soon. Then at this point then we're about to go into the new section. Key change, we're going into A major now, having been earlier in A minor, so now in A major. The left hand is quite high up suddenly because the treble clef has crept in there. If you look carefully enough at the end of bar 36, you can see the treble clef hiding there. And so we're going to learn the left hand melody. So we've got that acciaccatura in that second bar. So here we go. That little flick there is quite awkward. You want to really just flick it. Don't make too much of it. Don't do that. You know, just, you might need to practice that. And by the way, when you play bar 37, as you hit the end of the bar, you can come off that G sharp. By coming off, it helps you drop like that, like dropping down onto the note. So that's the idea. And there's an accent, isn't there? So we try and bring that out. Very tricky thing to get right there. I think that's one of the hardest parts of the left hand to play. And the right hand is just doing these gentle chords. Don't confuse the curved line there with a tie. It's not a tie, it's a slur. So there's a sense of the second chord in each pair being slightly lighter. Bup, 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 bup. So that's a nice effect there. You might want to think of the left hand as, you know, MP, slightly louder, and the right hand nice and light. If the right hand gets too loud, it just sounds a bit, you know, a bit too crude. It's got to be nice and light. So keep that in mind throughout this section. I'm going to go from that section slowly, so bar 37. Then we have a slowing down, back to tempo. Be careful on bar 47 to do the same fingering you did in bar, whatever it was, 39. That fingering suggestion there, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, is very good. Be careful not to take any shortcuts with things like this because you need to have control at all times. Now going from bar 47, building up and slowing down. Now I did a sneaky trick here on the last bar. I used my right hand to play the final A of the left hand part. So we're talking about the last bar on that second page. Also, we've got the other thing to keep in mind, you've got double sharps here, and if you're not used to seeing double sharps in the left-hand part, those X-shaped things, they're double sharps. So what you're dealing with, if I go from, let's say, bar 49, we've actually got 2 Gs there, yeah, in bar 50. They're F double sharps. So F sharp is the first note, then 2 Gs. And then in the next bar we've got the F double sharp, which is really G, and then G sharp. That's all it is, okay? But did you see what I did at the end in the left hand? When I played the left hand last notes there, I let my right hand hit the final A. It's like playing an A major chord. Why would I do such a thing? Why would I do it like that? So that my left hand is available to turn the page. Now I think a lot of people would actually play it as written, left hand, and then they would just simply turn the page as they're playing, you know, from that page onwards. I actually quite like just doing my little trick there. It just makes it more immediate to turn that page. Anyway, we'll move on now. We'll go on to the final page. Of course, you can practice up to this point now, and that'll be a good section to work on. So from bar 53, pianissimo now, of course, so we're very soft. And another thing to keep in mind is when you're practicing this, you don't always have to play it with the pedal. You could just practice making sure that you're playing everything staccato where it's meant to be. So we're going to go from bar 59 now. At this point we're still quite soft. There's nothing there to tell us to play any louder than what we started on the top of the page, but we're going to build up the sound. Here it comes. So there's nothing new there really going on. We've seen all of that earlier. And then the final section, nice and relaxed, dolce, sweetly, nice and relaxed. Pedaling as well, I think. So these acciaccaturas here, I'm finding myself playing the G sharp and the D together. That's the way I would do it, and then you can play the G sharp first, all together. It's just got to be relaxed sounding. Nice little detail there in bar 75, that staccato. Again, I'm playing the acciaccatura at the same time as the C sharp. At speed, you get that effect. And of course, finally, and we're pedalling. It's that effect at the end. Bit of a curious notation towards the end there with the rests and the staccato, but with a pedal mark underneath. A bit peculiar. But anyway, I hope what I've talked about has been helpful to you, and that you managed to, you know, cope with the difficulties of this piece, because it is a lot harder, I think, than the other pieces for grade 4. I might catch you on some of the next videos I'm making, so thanks for watching, and see you soon.